behind the door. There's a crack in the mirror. Somewhere there's a hole in a window pane. Now do you think I'm to blame? Tell me, do you think I'm to blame? You're never there.
It's a wonderful Wednesday. Good morning, everybody. Breathe easy for those of you that were worried about the FedEx St. Jude Classic. The FedEx St. Jude Classic is staying. Not only is it staying, it will be the opening round of the FedEx Cup playoff. It will begin August the 10th this year. I want to say it was moved up. I'm not sure why. It was that's pretty close to the same placement. It will be the first round of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Eastlake, we all heard the rumors. Eastlake was out. Memphis was out. Memphis was going to be a May signature event. Well, that wasn't true. You know what's going to be a May signature event? They're going back to Doral, which is now Trump Doral, and they're playing a signature event there. I don't know if that's May. Could be the Memorial still stays in May. Whatever it's going to be, there's 9 signature events on the new FedEx or PGA Tour calendar. 23 of them are on CBS. The rest are on NBC. Of course, you'll get a lot of early rounds on either ESPN Plus, ESPN, or the majority being on the Golf Channel. FedEx Cup, by the way, is going to be 20 years old next year, so maybe that's why they decided not to make any changes. The middle one, which was in Baltimore last week, the BMW, that becomes Belle Reve Country Club in St. Louis's property for next year. So Memphis and Eastlake sandwich Belle Reve for next year. And if you love golf, that's a pretty easy triangle to make between Memphis. If you're a FedEx Cup guy, you can go to all 3 of those driving your car. If you live in the area, that's for sure. Or if you live in St. Louis or Atlanta or Memphis. Easy to get to any of those particular places. So I really kind of felt there might have been a move coming, and who knows if that doesn't come in 27. But for the 20th anniversary, Memphis stays in the same place, and Eastlake stays in the same place. Some different little twists and turns, and I think they only had, they have 7 or 8 signature events this year. They got 9 next year, so they keep that top 70 guys really, really happy in those signature events where they're $20 million for the purse and $3.6 million for the win. We make golf picks today, our final time to make golf picks with Mickey Barker, Greg Hines, and Johnny Lyon. That will come your way, final segment of the show. We've got lots to talk about because college football opens up this weekend in Dublin, Ireland. We've got Iowa State and Kansas State, but we got things to talk about. And we'll talk SEC stuff with Ron Higgins today because both Dennis Philippi and Joe Denk have the week off. So Ron Higgins at around 10:30, and then our final golf pick of the year, and that will come at about 10:45. Tiger's got another big guy, or at least a visit from another big guy. I know Greg and Eli and Parthapajai were just talking about all of this. And this is a guy who played, I think, the last 2 years at Columbia. His name is Arope. I want to say I'm getting maybe he and Sela mixed up, but one of those two comes from the same hometown of Musa Cisse. I do think there is an African roots thing to Arope. So he's been at Columbia. He played 10 games his first year, 6 games the next, 16 games, and he's only averaged 2 points and a rebound and a half. So Penny said he wanted to get bigger. He's getting bigger. But I don't know. I mean, I think on paper, this is the biggest head scratcher of any of the Penny Hardaway teams. Not to say, because Penny hasn't totally laid an egg in any year. He's won 20 games every year. But this one, when you look at all the pieces and the parts, there's no P.J. Haggard, unless Doug McDaniel could be that. And I think there's definitely optimism there. There's no Dane Danger that I can see. May Joke, who's, 18 years old, may have that potential in the long run, unless Bradshaw becomes that guy and plays a little bit more inside and can rebound. I mean, you take a look at the Dane Danger numbers last year. When he started to play midway through the year and really dominate, his numbers were fantastic. And, he was terrific in the first 30 minutes of the NCAA game. He got tired at the end, and the Tigers just didn't have enough bodies to finish that game correctly. So this one, Penny's going to have to really coach, it appears to me, on paper. But my faith is with Penny. He's done it year in and year out. There is a really good reporting story in the Daily Memphian regarding the funding of FedEx Forum and how Memphis is going to release all the funds, or the state. They got the money. They're going to release it. And, I think part of the release is for interest purposes, and it's very feasible. The building's almost already paid for. If you think about it, they built FedEx Forum on time, on budget. The late, blessed memory, Arnold Pearl, that was his mantra: on time, on budget. He got it done. And the building has always been beautiful. I think they kind of blew it in the design. It was supposed to be like Cambridge in Indianapolis. That was supposed to be modeled after that, but they shallowed out the bottom rows, and they also made the lower bowl too small. The attendance figures for that, if you draw up the capacities, are between the lower bowl and the club. I want to say the lower bowl 6,000, clubs 2,000. That's 8,000 seats. Those are great 8,000 seats. The unfortunate aspect of that is you've got 10,000 lousy seats. I shouldn't say lousy, but not the best of seats. And frankly, after you go to the first 2,000 maybe up top, now you got bad seats. I end up sitting up there a couple of times, and I end up looking at the game on the Jumbotron. So, and I don't know how you overcome that. But the reporting is really excellent in terms of how they got the money, where the money is, how they're going to release it, and we're going to find out the plans for the $550 million in expenditures come in September. So we are still a few weeks away from finding out exactly what they're going to do. And, of course, all of this is tied into the Grizzlies are tied in contractually till 2029. Of course, they can buy themselves out of that if they really want to. But they're tied financially to Memphis till 2029. If you're spending $550 million, you've got to get a contract extension. I want to say Oak City, which is building a brand new building, which is a bit surprising to me because that building they're in is not terrible. Memphis has been in NCAA tournaments there before. They are scrapping that thing. They are building $1 billion stadium. But now the Thunder are tied to the city of Oklahoma City through 53, I think it is. A long time. And I don't know if that's what you're going to get with the Grizz, but you're going to get definitely an extension of time. So you got a chance, go read the details in the Memphian, a really good job by them of breaking it all down. We are going to talk with our good friend, Steve Earhart. He will begin his weekly bowl business and the business of college sports with us on Tuesdays. But we decided we'd bring him in early because we do have a big game this weekend. It is week 0 in the NCAA. And as I sit in the Family Leisure Studios, I got to remind you, I may need to go get my last little bit of chemicals for pools. And the place to do that, is Family Leisure. They try to keep the prices down there, and they're really doing it right now on patio furniture. They've got the Clear the Warehouse sale where all in-stock patio furniture is up to 60% off. They're moving stuff out to move stuff in. That's the way they do it at Family Leisure. You can get a 4-piece deep seating set under $1,000. You can get a chaise lounge where you buy one, you get one free. All the Pollywood furniture is 20 to 30% off. If you buy a patio table, they'll give you the umbrella. And those are not cheap. Go look. They're not cheap. They give it to you free if you buy the table. And special financing available while they clear the warehouse at Family Leisure. Let's bring in Steve Earhart. He's our guy when it comes to the bowl business and college football in general. And the Big Cheese, the head honcho of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, may have been caught off guard. I don't know. What was your first thought when you read the Big Ten and their commissioner's proposal that there should be 24 to 28 in a college football playoff, and let's forego conference championship games? What was the first thing, be honest now, that popped in your head?
Well, first of all, I was a little, I guess I could say pissed off, but, can we say that on the air? But
Well, you just did.
It doesn't surprise me, though, David, because I had my life in baseball, and when I was president of the Colorado Rockies going to all the meetings there, everybody in baseball talked about, hey, we got to get more money out of the playoffs and the World Series. And, in fact, the television people jumped in and said, okay, we're going to pay Major League Baseball more money for expanded playoffs in the World Series. In fact, I think for a while, Major League Baseball was making more money from the playoffs than they were from the regular season. So the Big Ten commissioner, and this is why I tie this together, he comes out of Major League Baseball. He doesn't come from a traditional college background, or even an NFL background. So it didn't surprise me when he came up with that, because everybody's chasing the dollar in college football. And so for him to come in and say, well, let's expand the playoffs, and he wanted to have these, quote, play-in games. So if he had 24 or 28 teams, he would be playing basically postseason tournaments in his own conference. And so, of course, that would be deleterious to, I think, what has been traditional of why college football is great, because the regular season means so much, and then the bowl experience has been so important, and the legacy of bowl games and an experience for the greatest number of young, and I'll still use the phrase student athletes, even though they're now being paid. But so that's why I think this came out of his mouth, and he's just trying to generate more dollars. But I think that it's going to be rejected. In fact, I think some pretty smart people said, well, maybe this was just a diversion from the Big Ten to try and say, we're going to throw out this kind of wild thing so we can get the SEC back to agree to the 16-team deal where they would have 4 automatic qualifiers, which is what the Big Ten really wants. That's a long answer, but I think that's why it came out of a guy who came to the Big Ten straight out of Major League Baseball.
So if they're doing this for negotiation purposes, you think they end up with automatic qualifiers in a 16 a team playoff? Because that would just, to me, would rig the game. It would be ridiculous if you make the SEC and the Big Ten automatic 4 qualifiers. That is, they'll most likely get it anyway by rankings, but it's ridiculous to say you're guaranteed these spots. That's just rigging the game. And if college football goes with that, what can you do? But to me, it makes the sport a joke.
Good. We need to have you, exactly what you just said. We should have you be the guru, the big dog in college football, and say exactly what you said, because I think people are forgetting that here, we're still putting a professional kind of enterprise inside an academic atmosphere in the collegiate model. And again, I give a great deal of credit to Ryan Silverfield over there, because he's still, impressing on his guys. It's going to class, it's getting education. In fact, I think the University of Memphis had one of the biggest or the best, academic performances that they've ever had. So sometimes we forget that a little bit when the media gets going on these kind of wild playoff schemes. And so I hope what you said exactly resonates. And I do believe, Dave, that the SEC people who are more interested in the legacy of college football and, the traditions and the history, which has made the game great. And, of course, the regular season has got to be important, too, for college. I mean, again, looking back at Major League Baseball, how many people give a darn about some of those early season games in Major League Baseball. But you look at this, opening week, Texas playing Ohio State, one of the biggest games of the year coming up. So I hope that the folks, especially in the SEC, because it's really now the two powers in college football are the SEC and the Big Ten. They control the votes, and so it's a battle of wills between the SEC, which I think is more traditional, versus this newcomer up in the Big Ten. And here's kind of a hidden thought that people haven't focused on in this crazy scheme, even with the 16 proposal that the Big Ten put out, because they wanted to have even a further playoff inside their league to qualify to get the 4 teams that they're saying should go into the playoff. His plan was to add actual play-in games, if you want to call them, inside the conference. So in his plan to get 4 automatic qualifiers, he had the first and second, finishers automatic, but then he would have team number 6 inside the Big Ten play team number 3, and team number 5 play team number 4. Then the winners of those 2 games would go along with the first 2 to go in there. So that basically takes, the emphasis off of any kind of regular season. So I hope what you just said wins the day, Dave. So you're the guru.
Well,
you should be the commissioner.
Trust me, they're not going to listen to me, but that is interesting. So if you think about what you just said, you now have one championship game. What is it? The first Saturday in December, I believe, is Championship Saturday.
That's correct.
Okay, so now think about this. If you did it that way, if you were getting these automatic qualifiers, you would literally get another championship-type game. Because what you would do is you would play 6 versus 2 and 5 versus
6 versus 3. Yeah.
6-3 and 4-5. I'm sorry, that's right. 6-3, 4-5. Those winners make the playoff, and the champion,
right.
The 1 and 2 are already in. But you're getting 2 games instead of 1 on that Saturday, so you've doubled your postseason inventory.
That's right. That's why it's all an issue. How does he get more leverage against the networks and to try and squeeze more money? And so, again, but I think that devalues the regular season, and it also devalues, the postseason opportunities for what we're really all about in college football. And again, it would be a shot across the bow against the great, legacy of bowls and the experience for all the young people that have participated in bowls all these years.
Who do you think is the most powerful conference in college sports today? I know around here the thought is it's the SEC. The Big Ten actually makes more money for their schools. People tend to not realize that in this neck of the woods, and I understand that. We all grow up and have our preferences because of how we grew up. There is no right or wrong here. But you're in the business. So who is really the most powerful league? Which is the most
think
powerful league?
The answer will come before the end of the year, because this December 1st deadline exists. And I'll say this, if the SEC wins out, and again, what I'm hopeful for is that they'll stay with this 12-team playoff that we've only had it for 1 year. So I think somebody pretty smart said, hey, they hasn't even put it in the oven yet. It needs more time to bake out and see how it works out. They've already adjusted the buys. Now it's not the conference champions who get the first year bye. But if the SEC prevails and they keep it at either the 12 or at the 5 and 11 deal rather than these automatic qualifiers, then the SEC wins. They're the most powerful. On the other hand, I was going to say Michigan, Ohio State, all these big universities that are huge and got tons of money, and have more population base in their, they go from the West Coast to the East Coast now, between, California and Los Angeles and San Francisco with their teams all the way to, even though they're not powers, you got the Rutgers and the Maryland. So, I mean, they're coast to coast and they got more population and more money. Now, Texas and Oklahoma certainly shored up the SEC, but the SEC is still a Southeast Conference-based team. So you're right; it's going to be a real tug-of-war or arm wrestling contest. And what I'd like to see, I'll take Greg Sankey against Tony Petitti in a one-on-one arm wrestling. That's what's made defined. But it'll be interesting to see. But I'm hopeful, and I personally would guess, to answer your question, is that the SEC will prevail, and there will not be a crazy new playoff system. I think, it's evolved just in the last few years from 4 to 12. We need to let that, to use the quote, bake a little bit more, and let's stick with the 12-team playoff here if that needs to be adjusted, and continue to see how that works out. And in the reality, in college football today, are there really more than 12 of the big guys that have a chance to win it when you talk about money and resources and that kind of thing? If you can name me, 13 to 20 teams that would be dark horses that could win, literally win, and you look back over the last several years, it's the Ohio States and Alabamas and Georgias and these kind of schools that are going to control. So somebody can tell me that.
Why even have the playoffs under if you're talking that way? What? And I know you have been a fighter for the group of six that will be the group of six next year, and you certainly have ties to the American. You've had them in your bowl on several occasions, and so I hope it's the 16-team model because personally, from my standpoint, that would keep a seat at the table for a group of 5 team. I think if they go to 12, who knows what happens? At least with the SEC, that 16 model, it's 5 champions, 4 conferences, and the group of 6, and that keeps it a little bit more equitable. And I don't know if a group of 6 team could win the title, but there could be a year that occurs. Crazy things have happened. We've seen major, very low mid majors get to the Final Four. So crazy things can happen. If you go by budget, you wouldn't have any of the group of 6 in.
Well, and that's a danger that we're putting a lot of the conferences like the Sun Belt, the MAC, the Mountain West. Can these conferences keep up? And look out in the Mountain West, and now soon to be the PAC, whatever the number is going to be. Boise State keeps emerging, and I still believe that the University of Memphis has a real shot. I've been very impressed watching the spring game there, and I think Ryan Silverfield is recharged. I know he's got a lot of new players, but they're studs, and I think they're going to be competitive. But no, and when I talk about continuing the 12, I want to make sure they continue to have that spot for the highest-ranked group of 5 because we need college football is a national game, and I think if we end up getting it down to just 2 conferences, which, quite frankly, some of the Big Ten people were threatening, that those 2 conferences would just step and create their own NFL-style playoff system. But I think Greg Sankey and the folks at the SEC understand that, hey, to be popular, you've got to keep all the boats rising there, and you've got to keep the nation engaged, not just a few cities. So, but no, Dave, you're 100% right. We need to make sure and keep access to that. What I meant by that is, how many teams, if you go to 24, 28, are we really just starting to stack a situation that is unworkable and then devalue the regular season games?
Well, I understand from your point of view why 16 is unattractive. That's 4 more schools that are out of the bowl pool. And in your case, if they're SEC schools, that puts you even further down the list. I get that. But I'm looking for the betterment of all college football. I think the 16 would be where it would max out, and we'd live with that system for the next 15, 20 years.
Gotcha. But if you think that the big guys are going to let more than one team come out of the group of 5,
no, they're not.
That's where I think
I know they're not.
So
no,
it's going to be one. I'd rather have one just out of the 12 than one out of the 16. So, but again, I'm praying and hoping that the University of Memphis can break the mold this year and be play in the game. And certainly they've proven when they went down and played so well in the Cotton Bowl. And remember, the last 2 years, the University of Memphis has beaten 2 Big 12 teams: Iowa State in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, and then West Virginia in the Frisco Bowl last year. So, they're being very competitive, and I look forward to their season this year.
Are they going to beat Arkansas, the Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, 4th week?
It certainly could be. I mean, a lot of the folks over in Arkansas are pretty worried about that game, so there's no question that that's going to be a big game on the Tiger schedule.
No, that was real commitment to a win or a loss there.
Say that again?
I said that was real commitment as to who was going to win that game.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, what are the odds of that? I haven't seen any preliminary odds yet.
It's interesting because every metric that I've seen, every poll that I've seen, Memphis is ahead of Arkansas, but I believe Arkansas is a favorite in the futures.
Well, they probably will be because the betting public, is always going to favor an SEC team in that situation. But, of course, Arkansas, now they won the AutoZone Liberty Bowl last year over a pretty darn good Texas Tech team. So, never count the Arkansas Razorbacks out. And Sam Pittman is he's a polarized figure, but a wonderful man. And,
no
and
question.
He's been very kind to the university here in Memphis and willing to come play over here.
He's a good guy, no doubt about it. All right, last thing. It opens week 0, which is a crazy week. I saw that in high school. Now they do it in college. Dublin, Ireland. I'm surprised you're not there, scouting. You got K-State and Iowa State. What do you think?
Yeah, and big games this week. We'll be really watching carefully. And those of your listeners now, it's TV time again. 11 a.m. on ESPN, Iowa State at Kansas State. Iowa State, you can get 3 points on the Iowa State side, K-State being a favorite. But I kind of like Rocco Beck, the quarterback for Iowa State, and so I think Iowa State's going to win that game over there. It could be wrong, but those are two teams that are on our radar for playing on Fox. You've got Fresno State, pretty good team out west, playing at Kansas, and they're kind of opening up that new stadium up there in Lawrence, Kansas. And Kansas, of course, was a great participant in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl 2022. So you got 11 o'clock ESPN, and then 5:30 Fresno State at Kansas, and 3 of those Big 12 teams could very well be in our potential viewpoint for January 2nd in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl.
Fresno State could be, which is a future Pac-12er, right? They could actually be.
That's right.
They could be a brother of Memphis, maybe down the who knows. Down
right, and then for all your viewers out there too, you've got a real late night. Well, not a real late night, but you got CBS with Stanford at Hawaii at 6:30. So people forget that this is really, as you said, week 0 and some television games all over there, and so again, and then really things hit big and strong the following week. But looking forward to this weekend of college football.
Next week, let's talk a little bit about this being the last year for the bowl tie-ins and what you think might happen in the long run. That's Steve Earhart on the business of bowls and college football. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and we'll see you on Sunday night when I know your old friend Vern Lundquist. We're honoring him on Sunday night, and Vern spoke. I hate to say this, but Vern's spoken very highly of you, David. So all your listeners out there know that one of the most revered announcers in the history of sports thinks Dave Lotion's a pretty good, solid announcer himself.
I look forward to seeing Vern, and I should point out, guys, come to this thing because there are some auction items. And the money goes straight to St. Jude. They are unbelievable. That's Sunday at the Hilton. Steve, thank you much. We'll see you then.
Thank you, David.
All right, that's Steve Earhart from the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. We got to take a break. We're heading to Baton Rouge. Little different Wednesday. We're talking SEC football. Coaches have put out their first, second, and third team all SECs. We'll see how they stack up with the way the media went and a whole bunch of other stuff. That's right around the corner.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Everyone needs protection, whether you're on the field or on the road, so make sure you have the best. Bob Simpson State Farm Insurance can buckle you up with auto insurance, can back you up with life and health insurance, cover your business whether it's starting, growing, or maturing, and don't forget to insure your home, no matter if you're an owner or a renter. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call Bob Simpson today at 901-381-1233 or go online and get a free quote at bobsimpson.org. Stay protected with your good neighbor, Bob Simpson.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Serving in the military requires great sacrifices, not just for one's country, but also for one's family. Not surprisingly, divorce for soldiers is especially difficult, and it raises a number of challenges that are peculiar to military divorce, things such as deployments, relocation, retirement benefits. These issues can be complicated, and the lawyer you choose needs to be equipped to handle them. So if you're a soldier facing such challenges, go to CordellCordell.com.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you tried online gaming. Who knew 12-year-old boys could be so mean? And where did they learn to swear like that? 2 hours of losing to these underage trash talkers, and you're starting to question if maybe you really should stick to pickleball and other boomer stuff. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
I passed by a new barbecue restaurant on the way in today that wasn't a Central Barbecue.
Now, why would you do that?
Exactly my point. In a city that already has plenty of Central Barbecue, the best barbecue in the universe, why would somebody think that we need a different barbecue restaurant?
Not only in Memphis, there's Central Barbecue in South Haven.
Right. Central Barbecue. Again, the bestest barbecue anywhere is already somewhere near anyone listening to this commercial. If somebody wants to open a restaurant, open a sushi place.
Or one of those Mongolian beef places.
Or a place that specializes in things made with bananas.
Not just barbecue.
Not in a city that already has Central Barbecue.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
A little breaking news here. The FedEx logo, this is just coming out, will appear in the end zones at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium as part of the new NIL deal, I guess, with the Tigers. So I don't know how that's going to look. Is it just a little logo with the Tigers in there, or Memphis, or how that will look? But welcome, folks. Look, when NBA teams are putting logos of businesses on their jerseys, you know,
why not?
Why not? So it's a revenue generator.
I like it.
And it's good for the sponsor because they're getting a lot of visual.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right, win-win. Soon it'll be like a NASCAR driver's uniform, which I
think so. Yeah.
I've always thought that was funny because you never see all you see is the helmet of the
Oh,
guy.
yeah. No.
But you do see all that the decals on their cars.
Yeah.
Although they're going so fast, if you're in the stadium, you can't read those decals. Come on.
Well, FedEx will be large on there. That'll be the most dominant sponsor, I believe.
On the
NASCAR jerseys.
Oh yeah.
Because they usually have one giant sponsor and a bunch of little ones.
I honestly haven't looked in a long time, but
I haven't either.
I will take your word for it.
I'm basing that mostly off of Talladega Nights.
Let's head to Baton Rouge, our SEC historian. That is Ron Higgins. He's standing by. Usually we have heard from him on Thursdays, making the announcement he's moving to Tuesdays in the 10:25 slot. Thank you for being such a flexible guy. You know why you're so flexible, Ron? I just figured this out.
Go ahead.
Your new hips. They made you
That's
more
it.
flexible.
That's exactly it. You talk about all the commercialism now in college sports. I think LSU might be reluctant because one of the main sponsors around Louisiana is River Parish Disposals. It's a disposal system of waste where their motto is "Our business stinks, but it's picking up." So yeah,
I like that. Well, there are some people that think they should dispose of Brian Kelly, which is so weird to me. But
it's absolutely ludicrous. It really is.
Since you mentioned the big dollars and everything else, I found this interesting. I was going to talk with Steve Earhart about this, but we ran over on the Big Ten proposal, and we can get into that with you too a little bit. But have you noticed the change? And the genesis of this began years and years ago when SMU got the death penalty, and it almost put the school out of business.
Yeah.
So the NCAA, and actually this was with wisdom, made the decision they would never be that penal to any school again, and they have not been. But now they're going with a different tack because the old measures did not work. It was either too punitive or it had no effect at all, which would be loss of scholarships or some kind of put on probation, and television wasn't going to let you, which is their biggest partner, not put them on TV. So they had to figure something else new. And that is financial punishment. I was absolutely amazed that Michigan got, at first it was reported to be 20. Now they've done the math. It could be as much as a $30 million fine for stealing signs in the year that Connor Stallions was doing the evil thing with Jim Harbaugh. Give me your sense of, will this work, and do you think that this is a realization to schools that they better start playing by the rules, and then that will be for everything now, including NIL, because you could start really penalizing people if they cheat and finagle on these things.
I like it. Hit them in the pocketbook. I mean, really. I mean, because everybody's searching for money now, ways to make money. Which kind of links to the Big Ten's ridiculous playoff proposal, just so you can play more money to make more games. Maybe that's what the Big Ten proposed. Maybe Michigan told the Big Ten, "Hey, we need some money here, okay? Let's get more playoff games and generate more revenue so everybody can share more money because we're in a hole." I agree. I think it's good because you can penalize scholarships, but guys can still walk on if they get NIL money somehow from somewhere. So. Yeah, nail the school for more money. I like it. Of course, I think the Dust proposal, like you said, went out a long time ago. We don't want to do that anymore. And I guess the only way that you get to a school is money talks, man. Money talks.
I'm curious. They're going to appeal this. I'm going to be very curious to see, actually, in the end, what the University of Michigan, which, by the way, can afford whatever, if indeed they have to pay $30 million. And by the way, where will that $30 million go? Does that go right to the coffers of the NCAA? I want to know where that goes, too. Obviously, all that is interesting stuff. We've got an SEC. I was looking on the SEC website, and I saw I think it's the coaches that voted this time on their all-SEC teams, and they got the first-team quarterback being the LSU quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier. Then you've got the second guy, Lenora Sellers from South Carolina, and the third guy is the Florida quarterback, DJ Lagaway. I think didn't the media have Sellers as number one and Nussmeier number two? Which one do you think is more accurate? And do you think the coaches really voted on this?
Yeah, I do think the coaches voted on this. I could see some difference in the teams. I think Nussmeier is probably he is a better quarterback than Sellers. They're different types, by the way. Sellers is more of a dual threat read option guy, and Nussmeier tends to lean toward throwing the ball. Nussmeier has more experience than Sellers does. So I thought Nussmeier was a better quarterback going in. But Sellers did a nice job last year. He really sparked South Carolina's turnaround. And he's a good player. Lagway is a great talent. Still not fully proven yet. He played well the last part of the year last year. He got his chance to start last year. I think maybe been a freshman last year. And played well once he got in the lineup full time after their starter was out for the season. It's an interesting array of quarterbacks in the SEC this year because a lot of them are new. And I guess Nussmeier's been around the longest too. Last year or years now, he kind of stuck it out when he could have transferred. So I thought it was accurate. Yeah.
You've got week 0 this week.
Week 0.
K-State, Iowa State is the key game. It's on ESPN from Dublin, 11 a.m. Central. I'll obviously be watching it. I'm looking forward to it. If you don't mind, why do you hate the name Week 0? So basically what happened is it's been established that Labor Day weekend is week 1. So now they wanted to open the season earlier, and they just said, you know what, we're gonna copy high schools that did this, and they went to week 0.
I hate it. I mean, why isn't week 1, week 0, week 1? Because ESPN said so. I mean, that's what I hate. ESPN comes up with coins of phrases, and people just, they just assume that's what they should say. I mean, week 0. It's like, basketball announcers saying that the guy's really good off the bounce. Where's that? I mean, no. He can beat people off the bounce. When he can drive past. Is that say he can drive past people?
Yes.
That's what you're saying?
Or he can jump over people, one or the other.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't like week 0. It's week 1 to me. I mean, and then there's week 2. A lot of teams open the season on week 2. But if you want to call it the season opens this week for college football, it's week 1. And you do have the game in Dublin. And then week 2, which is season opener for a lot of teams, it's a really a good schedule. SEC has 1, 2, I think 3 games against both teams are ranked in the top 10. LSU, Clemson, Texas, Ohio State. It was another one somewhere along the way. It's a good.
Alabama, Florida State.
Alabama, Florida State. I don't know if Florida State's ranked, but it's still a good deal. So, yeah, I think it's a good schedule. You got interesting games the first week. And actually, Notre Dame second week. Sorry, it's second week. Season opener. Yeah, go ahead.
Texas, Ohio State. I mean, that's the best from both conferences, unless you believe Penn State's better than Ohio State, which you can make the argument. Arch Manning is not on anybody's top 3 in the league, which is amazing to me in some respect, but understandably, he hasn't really been a player. He's had moments in games, but he hasn't really been a starter. So let's talk about that game because that's almost conference honors. Which is the best conference?
Well, maybe. I mean, I just think right off the bat, you should decide who the best conference is on the first weekend. I mean, it is a good matchup. I mean, obviously, it's a really good matchup. The kind you don't expect a lot of times in the first week, but I think more and more people are trying to play these games, even though, like I said before, I really do think it would benefit everybody if they had some kind of exhibition game before these games, so they wouldn't go into some of these big games cold, which I think is really, really hard to do when send somebody great right off. And the thing with Ohio State is, I mean, they got really a new quarterback, new tailback. Most of their line returns, and they're playing at Ohio State. I'm sure Ohio State is favoring this thing slightly. I would imagine.
Well, they're at home, right?
They're at home.
That's
usually worth 3.5 points.
Yeah.
That's usually worth 3.5 points right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's a great game the first weekend, man. And
well, you know what?
The second weekend of the season.
We're going to talk about the others next week, including I think Brian Kelly's a brave guy. He plays a great opponent first game. It seems like every year. That Clemson game is going to be great. I don't know what happens to Norvell if Alabama blew them out in this game, and he has not had. I mean, he's coming off a very rough year, so it'll be interesting to see. We got big games week 2, really week 1 for most schools in college football. Ron, as always, we appreciate it. We thank you for your flexibility. We'll talk next Tuesday.
All right, well, we'll start stretching again for next week. I'll stretch.
There you go.
All right.
That's our guy. That is Ron Higgins. He is brought to you by the good folks at Dinstall's. I think it's over. I think we no longer have summer sizzler specials. It's usually right around football season. But here's the good news. If you love Dinstall's like I love Dinstall's, that means the chocolate-covered strawberries are right around the corner. With football season comes the great, absolute, wonderful, best strawberries you've ever had in your life, where they take this fondant, no one knows what's in it, which breaks down the berry. It's enrobed in chocolate. It's the best. It's absolutely the best. Just like their fudge, voted the world's best. My favorite thing there, Cashew Crunch or Turtlettes, either way. Everything's so good. Summer Sizzler special over, but strawberries are coming. All 5 locations of Dinstall's. They make it at Pleasant View. They've got one in my neighborhood. That is Laurelwood. They got it in the burbs. They got it in Collierville and Germantown, and they got it downtown. It's all over the place, and it's the best. It's the signature when it comes to sweetness in Memphis. It's Dinstall's for over 100 years. We take a break. Final golf picks of the year. They're all here. Greg Hines, Johnny Lyon, Mickey Barker. They come your way in a minute.
You have opinions?
I think it's over.
Of course you do.
I don't think it's that simple.
Everyone does.
I got all the answers.
Hit us up on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line at 360-8255.
I got him on the line. Marty McNate. Hey, man, what's up over there in VW land at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown?
Randy, we're ready to rock your world with 2025 Taos S, now $258 a month.
$258 a month for Taos S rocks. What else you got?
How about 2025 Jetta S, only $254 a month?
Brand new Jetta S, $254 a month. What about Atlas Cross Sport?
Right now, Gossett Volkswagen Germantown has 2025 Atlas Cross Sport SE, $286 a month.
Atlas Cross, $286 a month, plus all 2025 Atlas Peak Editions, $5,000 off MSRP.
That's right, Randy. Come see me, Marty McNate at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown, 7420 Winchester Road, or shop online at GossettVWG.com. And remember, your future's what you make of it.
That's Gossett Volkswagen Germantown.
Taos SMO 58602, MSRP 27011, Jetta SMO 85183, MSRP 24150, Cross CSC 228 314, MSRP 39206, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance with Volkswagen credit, excludes tax title and license with approved credit, dealer stock only, see dealer for complete details, offer value 83125.
On big game days, you want big game food, flavor, and fun. So on big game days and every day in between, you want Salt Sports Bar and Bistro. Salt has it all. Great happy hour food, great cocktails, and great games on 21 HD TV screens. You can also enjoy your favorite match on the patio with cigars and sports in the open air. Open for lunch and dinner from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Salt Sports Bar and Bistro, 3101 South Mendenhall Road. Salt Sports Bar and Bistro, where great food meets the big game.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Mid-South, it's time to put a new Volkswagen in your driveway, and we Gossett covered at Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike. 2025 Taos S, we Gossett now $258 a month. How about 2025 Jetta S, we Gossett $254 a month. And right now, 2025 Atlas Cross Sport SE, we Gossett $286 a month. Plus all 2025 Atlas Peak Editions, $5,000 off MSRP. That's right, $5,000 off all 2025 Atlas Peak Editions. So let Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike put a new Volkswagen in your driveway today. Hurry to Gossett Volkswagen 1875 Covington Biker Shop, online at GossettVWMemphis.com, where we're charging forward and charging less every day.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Volkswagen.
Taos SMO 58602, MSRP 27011, Jetta SMO 85183, MSRP 24150, Cross CSC 228 314, MSRP 39206, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Volkswagen credit, excludes tax title and license with approved credit, dealer stock only, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 83125.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Take me to the pilot of your soul. Take me to the pilot, lead me to the train. Take me to the pilot, I'm but a stranger.
It's hard to believe. Last golf pick of the year. We are at the FedEx Cup Championships. It is in East Lake. And it's going to be there next year, too. And Memphis will be the opening. Belle Reeve's going to be in the middle. We had some history last week because of Scotty Scheffler, Ludwig Oberg, and Tommy Fleetwood. Dave Woloshin won $5,155,000. I'm not sure that's not the biggest win week of all time. I was in last place all year. Mickey Barker was in first place all year. The guru of City Golf had J.J. Spawn, Bud Cauley, and Colin Morikawa and won all of $452,000. Wow. Greg Hines had a good week with Rory Rose and Cam Young. He had $1,107,000. Johnny Lyon with Xander, Bet Griffin, J.J. Poston made $750,000. So as we stand now, I go last. Greg Hines, $15,737,000 first. Second, Johnny Lyon, who'd been second all year long in terms of standings, $17,750,000. Mickey, he picks third, $19,042,332, and I had $19,425,000 from last to first, which means I pick fourth. A stunning reversal of the way things have worked. Greg Hines, you're going to get to go first this week, which means I'm assuming, and we'll get to that in a bit, you're taking Scotty Scheffler, correct?
Sure seems like a good pick.
Well, 2 weeks in a row I've had him, and I've gone from last to first.
I'm hoping that magic carries over right here, and I can bolt both all three of you. How about that?
Were you worried at all about the tournament moving to May? Do you like that we just got the new 26 schedule out, and Memphis and Eastlake are staying there, and Belle Reve's going to be in the middle next year in St. Louis? What's your thoughts?
I think it's interesting. I mean, the challenge for May would be, can you get the rough up? Can you get it right? I mean, I think they're going to have to overseed if they ever did that. So I think, from a course setup and a course playability, you're hitting it at the peak time of year where we have it. So, it's going to perform at its best every year in August, no doubt.
If it ever became a signature in May, I could live with that, honestly. If
that's
what FedEx really wants, because I think that's in the mix there too, what they want. It would still be a signature. You'd still get the top 70, but there's no way the golf course could ever be as good. Johnny Lyon, what did you think of the new 2026 schedule? Johnny?
Yeah, I think, they added another signature event in Miami at Donald Trump's golf course, Trump National.
They got 9 now.
So they got 9 premium events for the $20 million purse. I'm excited that Memphis is going back to playing in May. I guess the year after next. But,
is that what you think will happen from out of this? Because I didn't see. I just saw that. I know this next year, the 20th anniversary of the FedEx Cup, it will start in Memphis.
Of course, nobody knows yet. They got a new CEO, and they just appointed Tiger Woods to be the chairman of the new committee. So the jury's still out. When it's going to switch to May, or if it will. But I think it'd be great because the weather, it's so much nicer. Brings back memories of old.
Well, we've never had it in May. We've had it in June. I don't remember ever there being a May PGA Tour stop in all the years. Going back to the 50s. That I may be wrong about that, but I don't remember it. Mickey Barker, what do you think of the new schedule?
I like it. I think it's good. I love having Memphis as the first playoff event. Like Greg said, the golf courses, that's the peak time for all the Bermuda that we have, and the rough being as deep as it can, greens being as fast as you can get them. May would worry me. Now you're looking at, do you get decent weather in October when you're having to overseed, or we could get some rough winters and you could really be half dormant, sometime in May. Not likely, but it's possible. So it brings a lot of challenges to move to May. I'm in favor of being the first playoff event.
Are you stunned at what we're seeing from Scotty Scheffler? First guy since Tiger to have back-to-back 5-win years. The run that he's on, what he's accomplished these last 2 years is Tiger-like.
It really is very much Tiger-like, and the fact that the consistency of tournament after tournament after tournament and not finish outside of the top 20 all year long.
Wait. Last 13 events he's been in, he's finished worse, top 8. It's stunning.
His worst finish all year long out of the whole 18 events or whatever he played was he was still in the top 20. So it's not surprising now knowing how good he is. I really think he's going to win every week.
Johnny, can he keep this up? How long with that swing can he do this?
I think for a good 5 years. This is the Scotty Scheffler era we're in, and I like it. I think he's a good example for children and young golfers, and got good morals, good ethics. He's a great example.
Greg, what's your thoughts on that? And then I want to ask you about East Lake as well.
Yeah, Yeah, blown away at 29 years old. I mean, light went off 4 years ago, right? 18 wins, had never had any the last 4 years. I mean, it's incredible what you're seeing, and you'd love to. I mean, I think you definitely want to see it continue, just because he seems like such a likable guy, and I think Happy Gilmore did even more to help that for him, right?
I agree.
So I think, if he's not showing any chinks in his armor right now, I think it's going to continue for the near future, no doubt about it. It'll be solid to watch.
All right. What do you know, Greg, about Eastlake? I know it's very pretty on television. I know that they are growing the rough to 3.5 inches. They want to make it a half inch higher than it was even a year ago. And the greens, which were redone, I think, a year and a half or two ago, are now holding a bit. They're larger, but they're going to run 13.5 on the stemp meter. What do you think?
Yeah, so they took one of the par fives and moved it back a little bit shorter, made it back from a par 71 to a par 70 this week again, playing 74-40 in yardage. Saying they're going to be aggressive with the pin placements now that they got another year of maturity, that they can hold some shots, so they're going to be a little aggressive. A lot of risk reward. They say it's going to play tougher when you read what they're talking about on setup. So let's see what happens. But what a beautiful track, and I think they've done a great job revitalizing that old property and just making it awesome.
Johnny, your thoughts on the FedEx Cup and what you think will happen this week?
Well, I never have been really able to figure out what the connection is to Eastlake, except for Bobby Jones grew up there, because TPC, I mean, they own it, so I can see why they want to have the playoffs there. But I lived in Atlanta for a while when it was Eastlake was in ruins, and I think it would be better if they could move it around to some of these places like Wingfoot and Oakmont. But for some reason, they love Eastlake, and they're stuck in that hot weather just like Memphis. So
yeah. All right,
it is what it is.
We better make picks real quick because we're running out of time. Greg, you go first. Should I write Scotty in?
I will take Scheffler. It was a tough call, but I'm going to go with
it. Tough call. All right, Johnny, you're actually second. I don't ever remember that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been second for a little while. Guess I have to take Rory and see if he can show up like he did in the Masters.
I wouldn't count on that. All right, Mickey?
Well, I'm going to pick yesterday with Greg and Eli. I picked Sam Burns, so I'm going to stick with that.
Wow. You want to hand me this thing. Okay. I'm going to go with history to be made. The guy everybody wants to win. Tommy Fleetwood's my guy. Greg.
That was my next pick, doggone it. He took him from me. All right. He's ranked way down there. He hadn't been playing great, but he was the low score last year. I'm going Colin Morikawa.
He's due because he has not played all that well. He and Scheffler both disappointing, and that worries me about the Ryder Cup. Okay, Johnny, who's next on your list?
Well, I'm taking my old buddy Ludwig.
Yeah. I would have taken him if you didn't, for sure. And he is due. I'm going to go no, it's Mickey. I'm sorry.
So I think maybe he'll have his creatine worked out right for this week. So I'm going to go Ben Griffin.
I think that's an excellent pick. I'm going to get a guy I could probably get next round, but I'm going to take him now anyway. I'm going to go Akshay Bhatia. I think he's finally getting healthy. All right, Greg, last pick.
I rode him all the way through this. I think I got to stay with him. Cameron Young.
He's the bomber. Johnny.
I'm going to go with the guy that couldn't get it done last week, Bobby Mack.
Oh, man, that's a great pick. Okay. Mickey, your last pick of the year.
Last pick. I picked him a bunch. He really hasn't done much, but he played great there last year, Russell Henley.
Okay. And I will end it with Victor Hovland. He's due. Victor Hovland. So, Greg's got Scotty Scheffler, Morikawa, Cam Young. Johnny's got Rory, Oberg, and McIntyre. Mickey's got Sam Burns, Ben Griffin, and Russell Henley. And I've got Fleetwood, Batia, and Hovland. Guys, I thank you so much for all year long. We'll do it again next year.
Yep. A lot of
Thank
fun,
you,
Dave.
Wolo.
Thank you.
We did
Have
the
a good week.
Blazers for the Olympic Club, so we're glad to see that on TV at the presentation. Thank you, Wolo.
Thank you, guys.
Greg. See you, Mickey.
All right,
See you guys.
that's the picks. We'll give you the results on Monday. It's all been brought to you by Memphis Public Golf. Go to memphispubliclinks.com. It's that simple to make your tee time, to find out information. All these golf courses, if you have not looked, are in unbelievable shape. From Overton Park for the juniors, or at Audubon where they got that little 6-hole par 3 to really learn the game, to Audubon with the redo now a year and a half in, to Pine Hill, which is pretty much brand new, to the old stays, Fox Meadows, Whitehaven. All of them are really in great shape. Golf is an amenity for a great city, and the city of Memphis realized it, and they've done it. Go play Memphis golf. You will thank me later. We will see you tomorrow. Johnny Radio is next. Stick around right here on Sports 56.